How was this a public execution? This guy's got on a shiny leather suit from the Mo Money Mo Problems video with a big gigantic chain. Please, like, is this is the suffering we're talking about here? Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Bolo, and I'm coming to you with another video for educational purposes only. Today we're going to be talking about the Shadeur Sanders debacle, his crazy slide into the 5th round, and of course, like clockwork, instead of accountability being served, because that's how you fix problems. When you're an alcoholic, sometimes you have to tell people you have an alcohol abuse problem. Instead of saying that, you want to say, well, you know, his wife nags him a lot. It's okay. It's not really alcoholism. He's having a hard time at work. No, the man's an alcoholic. And something we don't do in this community is tell the truth. We want to give the victimhood card for every little thing that happens. So we're gonna have Gilly the Kid, who I personally find to be obnoxious and annoying overall. He's gonna go into a realm that is predictable, but I'm not even that sure if he believes. He just might be the errand boy for Dion. As you can see him here, he is a little fanboy. He plays the tough guy role, but he's a little fanboy and he wants to be in Deion Sanders' good graces. So who knows if he actually believes this take or not, but let's get into it.
To all my folks out there, right? I just want y'all to know that when you're a black man in America, right, sometimes you get reminders. You know what I mean? As a successful black man in America, I often get reminders. And in the Shadeur Sanders situation, this is just a reminder that you can do everything right in life. You can come from a good family. You could be a good student. You could be a God-fearing kid. You could be a hard worker. You could beat the odds. Your dad could be a Hall of Fame player and you can beat the odds because not too many Hall of Fame players have good kids. So you can beat the odds. You can beat, he ain't his daddy. You can beat all of that growing up. But you still get a reminder that you just a nigga, man.
First off, let's address his first statement. As a successful black man in America, you kind of just defeated your own point. You already starting off on the wrong foot. If you're trying to prove the point of being just a nigga and getting a reminder, and you open it up with being successful, especially from the background that you came from, in the gutter of, you know, in the hoods and ghettos of Philadelphia, and you are successful. And it's funny because when people talk about coming out of those environments, the obstacle is your own people, not the white man. So it's like you're already starting off on the wrong foot. Second of all, this is something that really just, it hurts my brain, because it doesn't show the low bar that we have as a people, where being a good person, not being an absolute piece of shit, is supposed to be like icing on the cake. That's supposed to be a plus. It's like, look, I'm not in jail. No other group of people puts that on their resume as a selling point. I didn't beat my wife. I didn't shoot anyone. Who cares? That's the bare minimum. Stop bragging about the bare minimum. Okay, he's got a dad in his life. Great. His father was being a father. Great. Those aren't selling points. That's not icing on the cake. That's the egg. That's the flour. That's the basis. That's not shit you should be bragging about. That's bare minimum stuff. Okay? Also, we're talking about football here. It's a business. They're trying to win. They're not trying to have the best Boy Scouts of America. Okay? Like, this is not a righteous award. Okay? Like, can you put asses in the seats? Can you score touchdowns? Can you win games and ultimately Super Bowls? That is the number one goal.
That's it. You just a nigga. We sitting here looking at a public execution going on right in front of our eyes. Where it's like, we just gotta remind you that you just a nigga.
I'm sorry, but that is the most dramatic shit I've heard in a long time. A public execution. I'm seeing, this looks like a very nice event here, and I'm seeing a majority of black people. How was this a public execution? This guy's got on a shiny leather suit from the Mo Money Mo Problems video with a big gigantic chain. Please, like, is this is the suffering we're talking about here? I mean, are we serious? Look at him. I'm not sure if I believe that, because going that far by saying public execution makes me second guess if he's being authentic, or if he just got like a yo, put it out there kind of notice. But now we're gonna get to someone that's gonna actually tell some truth here. Chris Carter, who was probably, between him and Marvin Harrison, were my favorite wide receivers growing up when I used to really be into sports ball. Not as much in recent days, you know. But Chris Carter was my guy, man. I loved his play style, but that's a video for another day. Chris Carter's gonna tell the truth, though.
All right, so what happened with Shadeur Sanders?
Well, a number of things happened. The number one thing that didn't happen was there was not a collusion message with the NFL owners.
Okay, what? Okay, a lot of people think that.
No, a lot of people do not think that. A lot of low IQ, low level race baiters believe that. And half of them that are on TV, I don't even think they believe that. But they know, as they try to build their brand, when you get a lot of these low IQ social media followings, people get attached to race, and you can build your following very easily by pushing the race button.
Because they wouldn't be able to keep a secret like that. And
so they might do it, but they couldn't shut up about it.
They wouldn't be able to shut up about it. But every owner is very, very selfish. Now, why would I do something to my detriment? Like, if I need a quarterback and I think this kid is it, what he didn't realize is the guys that have fallen in the draft before, they all had unusual traits. Like, they had some superstar qualities to them. Now, some other things happened that made them fall, but Shadeur and his family, they overplayed their hand. Them thinking that he was in the same evaluation mode as Eli Manning, they didn't play that right. Them trying to narrow the teams that he was going to go to, that didn't do right. Not working out at the combine, that wasn't the right thing. His interview process, obviously he could have done a lot better in that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people left that meeting, felt he was very, very entitled.
Which meet? Like, because they said Brian DeBall, the Giants coach, had said he didn't like the meeting. He asked him, he had some book, was his playbook or something he was supposed to know, and he said he felt weird about it. I don't know who else said they didn't like the meeting with him. Or were just people behind the scenes saying they did?
Well, the thing about it, they didn't draft him.
I know that.
So it's not the tape.
Okay, because the tape's good enough to get drafted early enough.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his tape is good enough for him to be a first rounder. But there's a number of things. It's not one thing. Last year when Deion interviewed for the Dallas Cowboys job, that did not help Shadeur. Now, it helped Deion get a new contract in Colorado, but long-term it didn't help Shadeur because the Giants, they're coached in their last year, general manager in their last year. If they struggle, the Giants potentially, an option would be look at Deion as the head coach. So why would I draft a kid?
Chris Carter is really just putting everything together. Here's the thing about reality. And I don't care where you work, if you're a lawyer, if you're a fucking cashier, you working at a movie theater, wherever you are, sports, there's a balance. If you're going to be a monster headache, you have to produce at such an unbelievable level, or have such unbelievable talent where they can overlook it. If you're going to be a headache, you cannot be mediocre. and expect to be treated that way. Now, the perfect thing would be extreme talent and extreme humble mentality behind that. That would be what every team's dream would be. Someone that they can actually coach, someone without an ego and extreme talent. But if you're gonna have the ego, you better have unbelievable talent. And Shadeur has really good talent. He's a really good player, but he's not generational. His stats bear that out. If you look at the rankings of the conference he played in, they were the 4th ranked conference. 4th. In his one bowl game that he played in, he got blown out the water. He had good numbers overall, but it was against weaker competition. And his record overall in his college career is 1 game over 500. You didn't win the Heisman, your teammate did. Travis Hunter did. You had 3 wideouts on your team get drafted to the NFL. So now we have to ask the question, were you being carried by those guys? Because a lot of coaches look at the tape and say, he's a really good player, but he wasn't anything like over the top. I mean, when it comes to Heisman Trophy votes last year, he was the 4th highest quarterback when it came to vote getting. So obviously, really good player, really good talent. But is he talent where you take on that headache of all the things that he's doing, trying to build a brand at the same time you're supposed to be learning a playbook and and the new style of offense, learning your teammates and things like that? What are you really focused on? Also, your father's always going to be looming in the back, as if there isn't enough pressure to win in the NFL already. If you have a bad game, maybe 3 bad games in a row, now you're on the bench. Everyone in the public sphere is saying you're incompetent because how could you fumble this generational talent that you know in the back of your mind is not generational? Now they're going to be second guessing every move. You should go get Dion as a coach. All these crazy things that now is added on to your already big pile of responsibilities and things that you have to look out for. It makes no sense.
Like, they missed out on that. Like, they obviously they didn't think this all the way through. And I think there were a number of teams that had that in the back of their mind, and they don't believe his talent is generational. They do believe that guys are more athletic and guys have bigger arms, and they do believe he's been coddled. He's been coached by Dion his whole life. Now, there's been benefits to that, but this is the first time it's been a detriment.
So his tape, because he had last season, at 4,000 yards, 37 touchdowns, NCAA leading 74% completion rate. Then he said, in his line, was his offensive line good?
Offensive line was no good.
Okay,
wide
no
receivers,
good.
3 wide receivers drafted in the NFL.
Yeah, but offensive line,
no good.
I'm getting to him. So you talk about him holding the ball too much. Sometimes people are coming to hit you, and you don't want to throw it to the other team. Is that not fair enough?
Yeah, let me talk football, though.
Yeah,
there's a reason why a lot of dudes hold on to the ball, too, is because the coverage has not revealed where the ball, and their anticipation is not as good as some of the other guys.
So sometimes he ate the ball.
This is objective analysis. He's saying, yeah, there might be times where holding the ball and taking the sack is better, but sometimes you're just not as good at reading the defense and making your reads in a timely manner to get the ball out in time. Or you're not as confident in your arm to make those tight passes. This is real analysis. There's no race thrown in there. He's just talking straight up football.
Because he couldn't pick up the coverage prior to, and the defense outsmarted him.
Yes, and he likes guys to be a little more open before he lets it go. And he doesn't have a big-time arm. He's not a big guy. He's not overly athletic. So his measurables are not, say, first-round measurables, but he played football like a first-rounder.
But his tape's first-round tape. But his measurables are not first-round measurables.
Well, you don't play football all the time. You're a human being the rest of the time. And how you're going to be in the locker room, how he already came up with this line of of merchandise, legendary, like he's already calling himself legendary. All those things are problems. And once the teams that weren't looking at starters, the makeup of a backup in the NFL is totally different.
That I understand. I understand that he's probably not going to be
the backup in the NFL. He doesn't have a media team following him. He doesn't have cameras following him.
And he doesn't have self-awareness. I appreciate Chris Carter so much more now, because not once did he inject race, victimhood, or anything. He's talking about straight football. And he's saying, look, he played like a first rounder, but his measurables are not first round material. He has some issues. He's not the best quarterback in the draft, not even close. Maybe he could have been at the end of the first round if he had the right mentality, but Shadeur lacks self-awareness. He got blown out of his one bowl game, as I said earlier, finished one game above 500 for his whole career, and had his jersey retired. Now, me personally, now obviously I didn't have a dad as, cocky as Dion and all these other things, but someone with a little self-awareness and a little bit more tact would say, Dad, like, this is not a good look. Let's not retire my jersey. If I would have won the bowl game, maybe it would have been okay, but right now, I haven't earned it. But in his mind, because of him being coddled and being told lies and being hyped up to such a degree, he's actually believing that he deserved to have his jersey retired right after he leaves school. Now, you're taking that attitude on without the talent as an NFL. And the NFL quarterback position, it takes a little time for these guys to really grow into that role. Most guys don't just get on the field and start making an impact immediately. That's not really a thing in the NFL. The NBA is a little different, but in the NFL, a little bit of a learning curve. And this guy does not look like he wants to be a part of a learning curve. He thinks everything's supposed to happen then, there, and if he loses, it's not his fault, and if he wins, he's a legend. This guy's going to be building a brand when he's supposed to be learning a playbook. That's the reason he fell. There's been plenty of college football players with crazy egos, as much as him, if not more, and were drafted high. Keyshawn Johnson, his father, Randy Moss, you can go on and on, but they had the talent to match that. That's the difference. Warren Sapp, like, seriously, so many. Okay, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I'm out.